I'm Carrie Stinson, and my journey through life has been quite an adventure. For over 20 years, I played Barney the Dinosaur on tour and 7 seasons of the hugely popular TV show Barney and Friends. Now my journey is to bring together friends and guests from all over the entertainment world for inspiring and at times amusing behind-the-scenes conversation. I'm Carrie Stinson, and this is Purple Roads. Welcome to Purple Roads. So much fun this week. We have Daphne Maxwell Reid. You'll know her from Aunt Viv on Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, but so many other things. She's an author, a photographer. I can't wait to talk about that. And of course, an actress. Daphne, how are you?
I'm very well. How are you today?
I am good. Welcome to Purple Roads.
Thank you. Thank you.
So there's just so much to talk about here, but I guess we all got to start off. We want to talk about your acting career. We're going to obviously get the Fresh Prince and all the exciting new things going on there. But as I like to do on this show, I want to hear how you got into acting.
Oh, kind of happenstantially as it goes. I did some acting when I was in high school. I was with the group theater workshop that was run by Robert Hooks that morphed into and became the Negro Ensemble Company in New York. And I was just, doing it for a lark. It was something to do on a Saturday afternoon. And I really got into the freedom of expression that acting brought to my personal space. And at the time in the 60s, that's how old I am, there were not a lot of examples of a Black woman making a living as an actress, not a decent living. I guess you could,
Sure.
do sometimes, but it was very rare. There were not a lot of examples. So there was nothing that I aspired to. I went away to college and did a little bit more acting, but I got discovered as a model. And I was with Eileen Ford, who's one of the top modeling agencies in New York at the time, and got on her roster. So I was flying back and forth between Chicago at Northwestern University and New York and doing jobs while I was in school. And from that, I continued modeling. Had some notoriety modeling back then. First Black woman on the cover of Glamour magazine. And I was Northwestern University's first Black homecoming queen. And there are lots of things that happened as a first back then. And after I graduated, I was married, I had a son, and I was still working in Chicago as a model. So I was doing catalogs and commercials and things like that. And my agent said, we've got this guy coming in town who's going to shoot a series here. And it was Robert Conrad. And you got to be old as we are to know who Robert Conrad is, yes. Dear man. But he did a series called The Duke in Chicago and hired me to play a part. And at the audition for him, we hit it off like old buddies. And he used to call me Queenie because he knew of my Northwestern connection. And he put me in, he hand wrote me into the script because my agent first called me and said, no, you didn't get the part. You didn't get a part in the show. And then the scripts came for the beginning shooting. And she says, you've been handwritten in here. Wow. I said, oh, okay. So he I credit him with kind of discovering me and putting me on television. That was my first television gig. And then after a couple of years, I moved out to LA, and he was out there also shooting a show called A Man Called Sloan. And when I got to LA, you look up everybody you know when you get to LA. Right. So I looked up all my Chicago buddies, and I called Bob Conrad and said, I'm in town. And he said, oh, good, come on down. I've got a show for you to be, I'm doing this show and I want you to play this character. I said, okay. And I was able from that to get an agent in LA right away. Wow. And start my acting career that I had never really intended on doing. And from there, the blessings continued to flow. And more Chicago connections. I reconnected with somebody I used to model with named Tim Reed.
Yes.
And he
We'll
was
talk
doing a
about
show
too.
called WKRP in Cincinnati.
Huge fan of that show. Huge fan of that show. And
Yeah.
you know, I don't know, and hopefully our audience will go back and watch that show and know what that was, because it was a big deal.
It was a big deal back then.
Yeah.
And it was iconic character for him too. I got to play on 2 episodes, hanging out with one of the actors on the show. You know, you get to meet the directors and the writers and things.
Right.
And I guess we hit it off because they started hiring me. And so I continued my career blessed with the opportunities that were presented to me, and having good preparation for taking advantage of those opportunities.
You know, it's really interesting, and it's something we talk about on this show. There are people that watch this show that want to get into the business, and I was in the business for 22 years, and I got used to the word no, and I just think it's so interesting that you found a way to just keep going. Was it better not to understand everything that was going on? Because it seemed like you went past the traditional route and you just went, like there was just nothing that was going to stop you from being successful.
Well, I was blessed. I mean, it was not on the efforts of my part. I was just having a ball. But I never took no personally. As a model, as commercial talent, no is just, that's somebody else's job. It has nothing to do with me personally. So
Right.
I never was bothered by a no. So all the yeses were the positives. And if I didn't get it, I had other things that I was doing. So it wasn't like, oh my God, I'll never work again. No, if I didn't work again, I'd find something else to do.
Right. Yeah, it's interesting because I think once you're in the business, you understand that no is usually because they were just looking for something different, or there's a million
it has nothing
reasons.
to do with the actor. I always tell the young actors who can, I want to be in the business. Okay, now make sure that you have something you really enjoy doing with which you can make a living, because you have to wait to be chosen. And you have no control over that unless you are creating the projects and doing them yourself, which is more of an opportunity now than it was back then. So as an actor, have something else you love to do while you're preparing to be an actor and preparing to be chosen.
You've done a lot, especially as your career has built, a lot of guest roles and a lot of coming on to different sitcoms and things of that nature. Is that difficult, coming on to a show where there's an established cast and you're coming in kind of as the newbie on that episode?
On a single episode, no. It's just like it's all fresh and new to me. I don't really pay attention to the shows that gone before. I have this one character that I have to portray and the storyline in that particular episode. So it has really nothing to do with all the rest of the episodes.
Right.
And the people who I get to work with are comfortable in their roles. So it makes me comfortable in mine to just slip in, do my part, and get the check and go home.
So we didn't start off with this, I should have, but you really are a Renaissance woman. And there are a lot of things you've done other than acting and modeling. An author, a photographer, which I want to talk a lot about because it seems like you're just a creative person that has these different outlets. I'm a photographer as well, and I was kind of looking for something a little bit different. Took a photography class and just fell in love with it. How did you find the love of photography?
I have loved photography since I was a little girl. My father used to take pictures all the time. I have so many pictures of us growing up in the 40s and 50s and 60s. I have pictures that he took while he was in the army over in Italy. And
wow.
He was an avid photographer. And it was only an avocation for him because he was a soda jerk. He just, he just loved taking pictures. And he took pictures of family and situations. And so I grew up on film with my daddy. And we always had a camera. All the kids had a camera. I had a Brownie camera back in the 50s. And everybody had a camera. Everybody was shooting everything. So I've never spent any time in my life since I was probably 10 years old without a sewing machine and a camera. Those are my two tools, excuse me, that I always have with me. I cannot move to another house. I cannot go to it. I have to have my sewing machine and I have to have my camera. And it used to be that you had to develop photos and, all that stuff. I never got into that black and white development stuff. I know how to do it. I've seen it done. I don't think I wanted to get involved in the mess of it, but digital became my medium probably in the early 80s. And single reflex lenses and all that stuff. I grew up with the growth of the different cameras. And I always took pictures. And when I was acting in the 70s, 80s, 90s, Tim and I had the privilege of traveling the world.
Wow.
And it was an amazing lifestyle. And I always had my camera, and he always had his camera because he's a photographer as well.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And we took pictures everywhere we went. So I've got collections and collections of pictures, and I would come back and share some of my pictures with girlfriends that I was working with on museum projects and things like that. And they said, you have an eye. You should put up a gallery show. And I'm going, you got to be a photographic artist to do that. And they said, and so I got my nerve together, and on my 60th birthday, I waited till I was 60 years old. I decided I was going to be a photographic artist. And then I had to go about seeing what that meant, what it took. And the first collection that I culled from the pictures that I had taken were doors. I had a lot of pictures of doors. I studied interior design and architecture at Northwestern. So that's what my degree is in. And I think I was drawn to architecture because of the details of architecture. So I always pay attention to the details as we travel. And I had lots and lots of pictures of doors. So I went through and I put up a gallery show at an art gallery that I was on the board of at the time. And they said, well, we don't have anybody for the July show. I said, can I put up mine? And they said, yeah. So I had them all matted and framed and hung on the wall. And then I held my breath to see the response. And they were selling off the wall. And I said, oh, okay. So I'll continue this. So I continued making prints and selling prints. And I would be invited to talk about my journeys and talk about show business and what is my latest project. And I would bring my pictures and kept doing that and kept telling the same stories over and over again. And I said, why don't I write this down? So I wrote it down and I tried to figure out how to publish it. Did I want to send this out? Did I want to make a coffee table book? I went through the whole process of learning the options of what to do with these photographs. But before that, all of a sudden it was 2008 and the economy crashed and nobody was buying my big pictures off the wall. So I started making note cards that I could sell at a lower price point. And I did that and sold them through gift shops and conventions and things where I was a participant. So that went well. And with the stories, I decided to write this book. So I formatted a book. And a friend of mine introduced me to her publisher. She had written a book, and she got me a meeting with her publisher. And I took my little made-at-home book, all nicely pasted together. And I said, this is what I'm thinking of. And he looked at it, he said, are you taking any information from outside sources? And I said, with qualifications, sure. And he says, I'd like to give you some notes. I said, okay. And I wrote down all the notes that he gave me. He encouraged me to reformat it in a certain way and to do this and do that. And he says, and we will not publish that book for you because this is a gift item and you need to figure out how to get it done for gift shops. People don't go to a bookstore looking for a book on doors. So I said, okay. I took all of his notes and I ended up with my first book, and it was a book of doors. And I formatted it so that it was kind of a journal of the different countries that are represented in the book. There's a whole lot of countries represented in the book. I got photographs from all these countries. And it sold out. I published it myself. I learned how to publish. I learned about ISBN numbers and QR codes and all sorts of things. So it was the journey that I was really excited about, becoming a photographer. I didn't take classes. I didn't study. I just used my eye. And I have been very computer literate since the early 80s when Apple started. And I've grown up with Apple products and Adobe products and was able to format my entire book on my computer and just hand it to a printer, which was another whole process that I learned to do. So it's been a great journey. From that book, I did a trip to Cuba, down the west coast of Cuba.
Oh my goodness.
And all down the West Indian mountains and all over the west side of the Cuban island. And did another book called Cuba, Opening Closed Doors in 2015. And that book did well as well. And that was a journal kind of book as well. It told stories of the people that I was encountering and the culture and why the door represented something to me. I was fascinated with Cuba and the Cuban artists being able to make something gorgeous out of nothing. And well, it's just an amazing culture. And I really, really enjoyed that trip. So I have that book. I don't know why I'm losing my voice.
Well, I don't, maybe a little early in the morning.
Yeah.
I got to tell you how excited I'm smiling from ear to ear hearing your story on this, because photography is such a, I have that passion for it too. And I can just imagine you putting your work out there.
Yeah.
Because you really are kind of opening your soul out there when you put your work out there to the world.
Or judgment.
Yes, it's a very difficult thing to do. It's a very difficult thing to do. And yeah, there's some validation when you sell a piece and it shows that someone really loves what you do. Yeah. And then I totally get the whole thing on doors.
Good.
I do. I've been to, I got to travel a lot myself. And every time I go to New Orleans, I love all the different doors you see and the different things there. And so I can totally understand that. And it takes a lot to be able to take those pictures and to pick the right ones. And the fact that you put a whole book together with it is just, I cannot wait to check it out.
Oh, good. I have 2 other books as well. One on Belgium, 2 cities in Belgium that I visited, and another one on France that has 2 or 3 cities in it, on a trip that I took to France with another group looking at art. So I really enjoy the doors because they seem to me to be a metaphor for life. And that's why I try to encourage people to look at the details in their life, because that's where the richness of your life comes, in the details, not getting to the end point of the journey that you're on, but the whole trip to get there, and the richness of what you encounter if you, as they say, stop and smell the roses, but stop and see the doors and see the details that show you more about somebody's culture, shows you what nature does to something, show you the craftsmanship of so many people of the world. It's just an amazing journey for me.
Well, and how many people walk by those doors and they miss
Never
it?
paying attention. No. How many people walk through their lives and not pay attention to all the little grand details that there are in their life that just will make them smile?
Right. Where do the ideas come from? Where does it come? All of a sudden, you want to do one on Cuba, and now you want to do one on France. Is there some? Is it
Opportunities? It was
okay.
trips that I decided to take, or I was invited to take, to go on a group tour for specific purposes, and I took advantage of the opportunity, and then I wander off and shoot doors. I wander down alleys. I get up early in the morning and hope the sun is not shining too bright, because God lights all my pictures, and I only take one shot. So
I love that.
I get the door or I don't get the door.
I am notorious for doing that myself. And I think photographers understand that, and other people have a hard time. I will wander off all over the place. You just see it and you get so deep within yourself.
I walk down the street with a group of people that I'm walking with, and they'll be talking to me, and I'm so certain all of a sudden I'm not there because I've shot down an alley because I saw something down the alley and I want to get a picture of it. And that comes back, I said, so what were you saying?
Well, and you'd understand this, and it's hard for people. My sister's an artist. She's a painter. And, you know, if she needs new work, she can just go paint. And it's not as simple for a photographer. You have to have a subject matter. And when you go down that alley, you don't actually know if it's going to be the image that's going to be make the gallery or the book, or it's just something that, you know, always means something to you.
I was in Venice, in Veneto. We were on a trip looking at the 500-year collection of Palladio architecture in Venice. And we were going to all these little villas and looking at the details of the way he designed buildings. And on the way back to the bus, I was walking past this little building that was an outbuilding to a winery that was the Villa Barbara winery. And I looked at it and I said, what pretty bougainvillea that is on that building. And I just stopped and took a quick picture. And this is the picture that has become my iconic symbol. This is what everybody wanted to buy. So I did a limited edition of that picture, and it's holding its value well. But you never know when the best inspiration comes. You just keep your eyes open and keep your mind open, and it becomes what it becomes. You don't get to choose it. It chooses itself.
Well, it's the truth. And I think what's so cool is that me looking at that image, I'm going to get something different than someone else looking at it. And that's what I think is so, and it might be completely different than the intention you had when you took the image. Whatever caught your eye might be different from mine, but it's very bold. I mean, it just captures me. I want to be at that door.
Yeah. A lot of people want because that red is so attracting, and it's so brilliantly modeled with weather and the flower contrasts on it, the texture contrast. This is what I look for in an opportunity to take a picture. I want to see it standing in its glory, and I want to enhance its glory by what I print. And that was the exciting journey for me.
when you're going through and picking images, are you hard on yourself, or is it difficult? Do you see some images and go, yes, that this needs to be seen? And I say that because I've had people look at my work sometimes and go, why are you not showing that one? And sometimes maybe you're a little you're a little hard on yourself, or is it easier for you to go, okay, I think for the book it should be this and this and this?
I don't ask anybody. It's real easy. I do what I want to do.
I love that. I'm seeing a theme here, and
Yeah.
I think it's amazing that you just went ahead and put the whole book together.
It was, I like to learn. I've been a nosy little child since I was a wee one. Always wondering why, what, who, where, what, how do you do that? And I love learning to do something new. And once I master it, I want to learn how to do something else new. So my voyage has been one of learning, and I intend to continue that voyage.
So you decide to publish this book. Do you get midway through the process and go, what did I get myself into? Or are you just so excited to keep learning something that you just push through?
Well, you have to keep learning as you're doing the project,
Right.
because there's so many components to go into it. I had to decide whether it was the prints were going to be in RGB or CMYK. So I have to talk to the printer, and what kind of paper is this going to be? How does it show up on this paper? I mean, there are a lot of decisions you have to make after you get the image that you want on your computer. And working with Photoshop and InDesign and Lightworks, Lightroom. Lightworks was an editing system back in the day. But Lightroom, it was a process. You had to learn each one of these different programs in order to get the product that you were looking to get. Then you have to decide, how big is this going to be? How many pages is it going to be? Is the pages going to be on the page? Is it going to be chapters? There are a lot of decisions that you make, and you change your mind.
Right.
And it's fine. You say, well, it would be better if let's try this. That whole process is very invigorating to me. It's like why I get up in the morning. What am I going to learn today?
So I'm presuming you've done this with your acting as well.
Yes. I've had blessings. God gave me so many gifts in my life, and I have to manifest these gifts in order to honor my God. So I make it a point to decide which gift I'm working on and manifest it as far as I want to make it go. Sometimes I fall short and I have to go back and do some more, but I'm always on that quest.
Well, I was going to say, it doesn't seem to bother you.
No.
I think it seems like, failure is just a place to learn from, right?
Correct. You get up. You only fail if you don't get up.
Right.
Failure is just a lesson. Okay, don't do it this way. Try something else. But that doesn't deter me.
So is it hard for you, modeling and books, and we go on and on, is it hard for you to focus on one, or you just do it all and just keep going from the acting to, seems like you're doing a lot of different things, which can be hard to do at times?
Well, sometimes, but not really. The photography is not a going business, so I don't have to make sure that those kids get out. I'm also a designer and a clothes maker, so I have a line of clothes that I do, custom line of clothes. I do them as they come up. Right now, I'm getting ready to do acting next week, so I have to go into quarantine and stuff. So I have to decide what I'm going to do in quarantine that I can do in a hotel, So there are parameters to
Right.
what my next move is going to be. But I'm trying to decide whether I'm going to do a little more photography work or I'm going to do my mask making work. And I think I'll probably be doing mask making since we're going to need those more. I've been doing them since the COVID arrived.
How have you handled the COVID? I would guess you seem like such a creative person that you found ways to work through this crazy time.
Yeah, I've been blessed. I've been healthy and I've been busy. And making masks is one of the ways that I got through a purposefulness of this horrible situation. And I've also been blessed to be acting during this COVID time. I did a film that's going to show on BET Plus on December 1st called The Business of Christmas. And I shot that in Los Angeles in March. And I got out of LA 3 days before they shut it down.
Wow.
So that was a blessing. And then we're hunkered in. We didn't know for how long. So I got busy exploring different masks and seeing what I might want to make. And once I did, I tried them all out on my family. So they got all sorts of masks from me. Try this one. No, I don't like this one's got a pointy nose. Okay, let's try this one. Well, it doesn't fit me very well here. Okay. So I kept going until I found a pattern that I really liked and that fit most people and that had a HEPA filter in it. I said, you can put this filter in here and you have a mask that is almost as protective as an M95. I said, okay, we'll do these masks. And I said, oh, I got all this fabric because I've been sewing since I was 9 years old. So I've got a collection of fabrics. Oh, this will make a pretty mask. This will make a pretty mask. And I just had a ball. It was a creative process that really got me juiced up. And I did that for most of the summer. And then we had the joy of running out to LA to do the Fresh Prince reunion show. And that was another great opportunity, but a lot of protocols with COVID. So
Right.
It was a challenge, but we got through it and I came through it without catching COVID.
And it seems like you're doing great.
I'm doing fine.
So obviously we'd love to talk about the Fresh Prince. When you came into that situation, you were replacing someone. Was that difficult to come into this role where once again you had a cast that had been there for a while and then you came in as the new member?
I had a lot of experience under my belt with shows and had a lot of respect from the people that I went to work with. And I was not feeling like I was replacing anybody.
Right.
I just had the opportunity to have a job and join a show that was really fun. I had turned down the opportunity to audition for it when it first started because I wasn't really feeling working with a young rap star in a half-hour sitcom. I'm going, no, thank you very much. But when I saw the show, I said, oh, this is a great little show. So it wasn't my time when it first started. But 3 years later, they called and I said, I'll be there. And I had to audition, about 2 weeks of auditioning. And by about the third call back, I said, this is getting close. But I got to work with James Avery on my third audition, and we clicked. And I guess the chemistry that we had in the audition was visible to those who were hiring. And I got to be the one. It was a thrill for me to be chosen for that show. And getting to set was, I was greeted with dozens of roses, and I was nervous because in all of my acting experience, I had never done a half-hour sitcom before a live audience. Now, I had done WKRP in Cincinnati that was shot before a live audience, but the two shows I was in were shot film style.
Oh, okay.
So I didn't have the experience of waiting for a laugh and timing your next line and you know, the rhythm. There's a rhythm that's involved. So I was a little nervous when the first episode was getting shot. But as soon as I walked in that kitchen door and Jazzy Jeff came in behind me and said, "Oh, you sure look different since you had that baby." And Will just turned to the camera and that was all that was said. It was the most elegant transition that I've ever seen in dealing with, yeah, we know this is a different Aunt Viv.
Right.
Get over it. Let's move on.
Right. Which I
And
think
they
is
treated
such
me like I had been there the whole time. So.
I think such a brilliant way to go. You move on. I love that. It's so funny you say that you passed on at the beginning, because I remember watching that show when it first came up, and I don't know, it took me a moment too, and then all of a sudden you start realizing kind of what's happening.
Yeah.
That Will Smith is very talented, very likable. You just can't help but watch. There's just something about it. And then of course all those other cast members and characters, it just became
yeah, he claims he didn't know how to act when he first started the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, and the rest of the cast agree with him. And he was open enough to allow them to guide him through it. And he took to it like a duck to water. So he really was free enough with himself to jump in with both feet. And he was smart enough to know that there's a business side to show business. And he learned that as well and did, I guess, pretty well with that.
Yeah, I think he has. But it's funny you say that. I think that is one of the keys, maybe to the whole creative world, is being open.
Yeah.
I love, as you talked about, taking notes on your book. Being able to do that, I think, is such an important part that I think some people struggle with.
Yeah, you have to have an ego to be in this business, but you
Right.
have to put away your ego when you're in this business. So it's a balancing act. You put yourself out there for judgment, period.
Right.
You've got to be comfortable with that, because if you're concerned about what other people think about you, you're going to have a hard way to go. You know, you do your best, you prepare to do a good job, and you put yourself out there, and the chips will lay where they lay. But if you're blessed, the chips fly beautifully, and you have a career in this business.
So when you were auditioning and when you were going for this role, did you watch anything that was done beforehand, or did you just kind of go do your own thing with this?
I had one scene that I had to do, and I don't know that I had watched the show as wanting to be part of the show.
Mm-hmm.
I watched it objectively, as I did other television shows. And when it was my turn, all I could bring was what I could bring. I wasn't trying to outdo anybody or be like anybody. I had to be me and bring the me to it. And I could only sell the me, and that's what they bought.
I can see that with everything you do. I can see that.
I'm exposed.
So I'm interested. Did you, on the shooting styles, do you prefer the film style, or do you love performing in front of a live audience?
I like the opportunity to go to work. Sorry. Any style.
So either style for you?
Either style is fine with me. Shooting film style, there's a lot more waiting around. Shooting live camera and before a live audience is a rhythm thing. They're totally different ways of getting it done, but both very enjoyable.
You have done so many different types of shows over the years for different audiences. I mean, you even did some after school specials early in your career. You've obviously done a lot of walking onto these. Is there preferences to that from comedies or dramas or acting is acting for you just love it all?
This business was difficult being a Black woman, and the opportunities were few. So anybody who offered me a job was challenging a system. And I had to bring my best to that. So I brought my best to training Arthur Anderson people on COBOL language. I just brought what I could bring to make whatever they have on the page a reality. It's taking words off of a page and presenting them to somebody so that they can understand it, so they'll want to listen to it and to absorb it. So it's a communication process, and you can do it in so many different ways. I've done voiceovers that I just had a ball. One of my first commercials in Chicago was the voice of a washing machine for Cheer detergent. I made so much money off of that. And I'm going, you mean I can go to work and stand in a closet and say these words in a funny voice and they'll keep sending me checks? I think I'll keep doing this. Opportunities like that come once in a lifetime. And for me, they came maybe once or twice in a lifetime. So it's nothing you can bank on, but boy, every opportunity is an opportunity for growth in some dimension.
Did you ever, you talk about the struggles for a Black woman moving through this. Were there times that you got upset or frustrated because you were missing out on roles?
No. I told you before, if I don't get the job, it means it's somebody else. It's their job. It's not my job. That the person hiring had something in mind, and it wasn't me, it was somebody else. In one day in Chicago, when I was doing commercials, I auditioned for a white product with a white ad agency. And I auditioned the same day for McDonald's with a Black agency. The call came to me the next day that I didn't get the job with the white company because I was Black. And I didn't get the job with the Black company because I wasn't Black enough. So it really has nothing to do with me. I can't take that on personally.
I can see a lot of your success has always come from this positive attitude you have, that you just keep going. I mean, it's very
okay. Next.
Yeah, it's very impressive. It's very impressive. I see. There's no doubt that you've been an inspiration to a lot of people.
I hope so.
Is that something you think about, or do you? It looks like you just put it all out there and don't really worry about it.
I put it all out there. I want to live a life of purpose and integrity. So I need to maintain my integrity while I give the best of myself toward the goal of sharing. I want to share what I know. I want to share what I have as gifts. I want to share the joy that life has brought me. So that's my purpose, and to inspire people to dream and to jump off the cliff and try something new just because. And don't worry if you fall flat on your butt. Get up, because there's always another way to do it. And it's up to you to find that other way. And that could be an exciting journey. Young kids, well, college kids, when you talk to them, they say, I want to get where you are. I said, you cannot get where I am on my path. It is my path. Your path may be totally different, but you may get to where you're supposed to be. But don't worry about the path that you take. Be in the process as you're taking this path. Learn everything you can do along your path and keep putting yourself toward whatever goal you want. But don't worry if it takes you around Jack's barn. It doesn't matter. you'll get there, but you have lessons to learn on the way to there. So you'll be prepared when you get there.
You know, the process has changed a lot in some ways, as we're doing right here. We're having an interview through Zoom. And obviously YouTube has become huge and social media has become huge. And I think there are a lot of younger people that think they can kind of skip the process.
They want microwave.
Right. And that's just not possible. You still have to go through the process.
Yes, and these Instagram hits and living their life to become a celebrity is a very empty life. Once you become a celebrity, what do you do then? What are you going to do with that? Can you eat it? I mean, yeah,
Right.
People will feed you until the next big thing comes along and you get totally ignored.
Right.
You get 15 minutes of fame. You better bring something with you.
Right. Right. And for you, it's obviously been about the work, and that other part just takes care of itself.
It's nothing I can do about how people react to what I do. I can only do what I do.
Right.
Their reaction is measurable to somebody, but it makes no difference to me.
So you get the call that you're going to do a reunion with this. What was it like for you to get all back together with the Fresh Prince?
Well, we got an email.
Okay.
And the email said, would you like to join Will and do a reunion show? And we will pay you such and such amount of money for you to come and work with us for a week. And I'm going, hell yeah. I'm in COVID lockdown.
Right.
Sure. But it was also exciting to get all of us back together in the same room. Now we have relationships with each other's that all year. We always are in touch. I go to Comic-Cons with Karen and Tatiana, and I see Joseph here, and I see Alfonso. I'll see him on a plane, or I'll go visit him when he's doing Dancing with the Stars. We are a family. James Avery's wife, his widow, good friends of mine. I travel with her. We have a very good relationship, as we did when we were all traveling together when James was alive. And it was just the greatest idea to all come together again. We had no idea what it was going to be like because they made it a complete secret even to us. They put us each in a separate hotel so that we wouldn't reunionize before we got on set. We went through all the protocols that you go through for COVID, the testing and the waiting and the waiting and the waiting. And then they pick you up, they take us to set, still keeping us separated. No, you can't go there because no, hold on. Now you can go in your room. It was exciting. It was titillatingly exciting. What's going to happen? What's this going to be like? And we all got on the set and saw that it was our living room from the Fresh Prince. It was amazing to see all of us standing there together. It was warm hugs and kisses, and it was just a wonderful, wonderful way to launch this reunion.
So seeing the set, did it just bring back all kinds of memories?
Yeah, and we were, oh, look, that's the painting that was up there. And oh, look that's the horse that was on that bookcase. Look at this, look at this. It was something, but it was the set from the original Fresh Prince, which was different from when I got there. The living room was a little bit different. We didn't have a foosball machine in the living room when I got there, but it was in this show. So.
What is it like for you? So you're probably known for this role more than any other. Is that something that you embrace?
Heck yeah. I'll be Aunt Viv to anybody who calls. Do you mind if I call you Aunt Viv? And no, I don't mind at all. And we're on our third generation of viewers. So it's cool to see grandpa, the son, and the grandchild all talking about the same show. Now that's an iconic show.
That is that something that ever went in your head when you were auditioning? No.
No, I had been on successful shows that didn't go anywhere. Frank's Place was a fabulous success.
I remember
It
that.
got a lot of press. We did a lot of touring. It was a fabulous show. Politics, it got canceled.
Yeah.
It was a shock, but okay, that's showbiz. On to the next. And I do the project, and that project lives when I do it. When I first see the project, okay, that's my viewing. It's done. I cannot change anything. I cannot do anything differently. So it is what it is. And with this medium, it will live as long as there's some way to project it. And you have to think about the work that you put out there, whether you don't mind your great-grandchildren looking at it and saying, oh, that's my Granny. You know, you got to think about that in the long run. That's part of the integrity part of it, though.
And did you always do that from your early days?
Oh, yeah. I'm going, I don't think I want to do that.
And is that hard when you're starting out and you're looking to make a living, turning down roles that financially probably would help?
I don't turn down roles. No.
Okay.
You just kind of think about the best way to portray it.
Okay.
If you're not liking the character, the best way to portray it to keep your integrity. I had a role as a hooker on Lynx for 2 years. I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I would never have played a hooker in my younger years. It just didn't sit right with me.
Mm-hmm.
But this one, oh, I had a ball.
And how did that come about? Did you just add parts to it that made you comfortable doing it? Or yes?
All my buddies were writing it, and they said, "Oh, I'm gonna write this piece for you." Okay. And they kept telling me, you just like this person. I said, yeah, I am. That's my alter ego. So I had a ball doing that.
So where are you going from here? I can only imagine. You've got all kinds of things. So what are the plans next?
Oh, I don't do that. I don't plan. Next will be what shows up. What opportunities come next, I'll see if I'm prepared for them and hopefully do a good job of it.
Do you ever look back at the career you've had?
Every once in a while, yeah. I'll go back on IMDb and try to tell them I was not in this show. I don't know what this is, but they won't take it off. And sometimes I look back at an episode that I did, or somebody will post some work that I did way back when. I'll go, oh yeah. A lot of times I go, I don't remember doing that. In the early 80s, I was a very, very successful, busy girl. And there were a lot of shows that I did I could not tell you about. I worked maybe 2 or 3 days, and then I did another show. It was just words. I didn't develop any specific character or anything for it that is memorable to me. So a lot of times I have to look back at the old episodes to see what I actually did.
Well, you have had such a successful career. How that all happened? Do you look at that? Do you ever question it?
No, I've been blessed. I accept my blessing and I move to the next. Hopefully I can be purposeful and I can bring honor to my family and make a good living, and have some fun.
I don't think that's a problem for you.
I like having fun.
I love it. I got to ask here real quick. So what camera do you shoot with?
I have a Sony.
Okay.
Yeah,
Is
I've
it
been through
mirrorless?
Minoltas. I'm not crazy about Nikons. They're a little heavy for me.
Right.
And since I'm a run and shoot kind of gal, it's got to fit in my purse. So I got a Sony.
Is it a
And
mirrorless or is it a DSLR?
It's a DSLR. Yeah. I like the reaction of a DSLR and how it can grab quickly the image that I'm looking at, because I have to do it between pedestrians walking by.
Right.
And before the cloud doesn't cover the sun and stop that huge shadow that's going across it. So it's a timing issue and a convenience issue, and I can whip that camera out and shoot really quickly.
This has been just such a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. I'm going to call you Barney.
Well, you know what? It's the same thing, and I learned it, and I embrace
you. You love me. A big purple dinosaur. Was that a fun role to play?
The best.
Wow.
The absolute best. It's a lot what you're talking about. It's why I'm smiling so much, because I didn't know as well. Barney was not big when I first started, and for it to take off like it did and affect children, and people still want to sing that song, and it meant so much to them. I feel very blessed to have had the opportunity to live a life of purpose, as you say.
Was it hot in that outfit?
Yes, it was. Yes, it was. But same as you. I was doing something important, so you don't really. I mean, you just deal with that. That's just part of
deal with it.
What you have to do, because you're doing something that's very important.
Excellent.
So
what do you like to take photographs of?
It changes. But lately it's been a lot I'm a Texas guy. My true Texas.
Yeah, I see a free Texan or pure Texan?
True Texan.
True Texan.
True Texan. I'm in Fort Worth. So I shoot a lot of Texas, like landscapes and things of that nature. I'm a big believer in just capturing what's there.
Yeah.
I want to show people, right? I don't want to I don't want to change something. One of my famous images, I found an old boot in an old bus that someone obviously had been living in, and they left the boot. And I know there's a story. Just things like that fascinate me.
Yeah.
You want to give people something to think about.
Yep. Exactly. That's what our photography is. Look at this. Think about this. What do you think is going on here? Yeah, I love that.
Well, and that's what I'm thinking about with the doors, which I think is so fascinating. Who's been through those doors?
Who made that door?
Who made that door? How long did it take them? How long has it been? Yeah, it asks questions.
Yes, yes. And you get to admire that craftsmanship. Boy, you get to admire nature when you take a picture out in the middle of Texas and the light is just right and the sun is in its golden hour and the mountain is lit, and it juices us, doesn't it?
It does, and I'm jealous. I want to shoot pictures in Cuba so bad. I just got to think it was an amazing experience.
It's amazing. Send me your address and I'll send you the Cuba book.
Oh, thank you very much. I will do that.
Good.
Well, this has been such a pleasure. I could talk to you forever. Can't wait to watch here at the end of the month on HBO Max, The Reunion.
Yay! It's going to premiere on the 19th. Yes.
And it's going to be very popular. I know there are so many people want to see you all back together again.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's like as soon as the announcement came out the other day, my Instagram page oh, look at that. Oh my God, it's changing as I'm looking at it. So it's been an exciting week.
Yeah. Congratulations with everything.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for spending time.
Very nice to spend time with you.
Well, thank you for watching Purple Roads. And remember to keep your eyes, ears, and your heart open, and you'll find your purple road. We'll see you next week.